this, podcast, just having some great analysis. So thank you very much. And we also have our regular panel, Ben Toth from Page Hungry, Ian Kummer from a suburb in Moscow, and Carlo Parcelli from the belly of the beast, Satan Zanus, Washington, D.C.
Ooh.
So a lot to discuss. The topic of our show, the title of our show this morning is "Hard to Part with the Patriots," and that's a reference to this big shortage of air defense that Ukraine is experiencing, and it's a big scandal throughout the Western press. Everybody's being encouraged to send more. Nobody wants to part with theirs, and everybody's pointing fingers. So you guys want to start with that topic?
Sure. I mean, it's two-piece. One was, of course, what was it? The 20th of April, Hitler's birthday, rather nicely, when the big aid package passed, right, in the U.S. House of Representatives, with lots of blue and yellow flags, like foreign flags. And then the next 2 days later, which was Monday, yesterday, the EU foreign secretaries of the foreign ministers meeting was all about, let's get this air defense, let's get it together, let's send it. And basically all the headlines that was part of, I think, a Sky News article, the hard to part with the Patriots. They failed to actually commit to anything. They failed to get anything. And we're just wondering why, because we were meant to believe they're all on the shelf, they signed this bill. They're going to send another 2,000 units, or what was it that Zelensky wanted, 25 full systems, batteries, which is what, seven or eight launchers per battery?
Yeah, between 7 and 8 launchers. It can vary from 6 to, let's say, optimally will be from 6 to 8. So,
but let me hand it over to you. Does this exist in the world today, and especially the interceptors that you would require?
Yeah, let's first say a few words about Patriot. It's a very good system. It's designed to perfectly serve U.S. purpose. But bear in mind, it's not like an old Soviet system. It's not too mobile. It can be, let's say, in the reasonable time, can be set up and dismantled and moved to the other position. But it is not mobile. It is not on tracks. Like, for instance, S300B or even S300 PS or PM, which are much faster to deploy and engage and pack and move to the other position. The other thing is usually in the West system is simply exaggerated. So many good things were said about that, but I'm saying it is good one, but it definitely 100%, 150%, it is not game changer. Bear in mind, every air defense missile system, it is symbiosis. It's a triangle. Equipment, people, tactics. Anything that failed between all of them, everything failed. Now let's talk first about people. Ukrainians. They said that Ukrainians are many the system. So yeah, so let's be it. The U.S. Army.
Wait, Mike. Sorry, is that true? Is it feasible that Ukrainians have?
I will get to that in a few minutes.
Okay.
So let's say that U.S. military is basic training is 23 weeks. Well, they said 23 weeks to make somebody proficient to use the system. No, done. It's not possible to have somebody proficient in the system. You can train somebody to turn on system, turn off system, do basic functions, basic checkup of the system, how it's working. But to be ready to 100% engage any kind of target in the airspace, you need not 23 months. You will need 2.5 years. Non-stop training, non-stop exercising, because it's repetition. It's a muscle memory. You need to, the operator need to know exactly to do in many different situations. For instance, operator is they detected Kinjal missile on the radar, and somebody with 23 weeks of training is going to intercept that missile. They even didn't know how to set up the system properly to do that. Now, those 23 weeks may be enough to train some, let's say, support, auxiliary staff, guys that are going to disconnect and connect power cables, drivers, somebody that can do basically elementary tasks. But operators, you need the years to train. Even somebody, for instance, who is previously, let's assume, some S300 the Ukrainian operator, he was assigned to be trained on the Patriot. Completely different logic. different electronics, different automation. Everything is different. We can talk about some similarity of tactics, but it's even worse to train somebody who spent his career 20 years of S300 now to go to train on Patriot. The second thing, language barrier. How many operators in Ukraine are fluent in English? You need to read manuals. You need to read procedures. It is very hard thing to do. Yeah, they're skilled. They're very skilled on S300, Book M1, Tor, all of that stuff. Even the older one, S125 or 2K12. But using a Western system, that is something that needed time, and Ukraine does not have that time. They had, I think, 5 batteries. Out of those 5 batteries, 4 are knocked out. On more or less. So a couple of launchers or radars doesn't really matter, but they're not functioning in the full strength. The second thing is, I believe that majority of operators in Ukrainian systems, they're actually Western contractors.
I believe that too.
Retired people from the, let's say, German,
NATO.
German army, then Dutch army, maybe Spaniards. So some Europeans that you're using Patriot. Also, it should be some, or maybe there is somebody from the States. It's a lucrative stuff. That kind of high tech mercenaries to operate those expensive systems. They are paid very well per day. They may be $500, $600, $700 per diem, plus bonuses for any destroyed target. Bear in mind also, for instance, Saudi Arabia, they have the Patriot system for years, and they're still using U.S. contractors to operate that stuff. So it's simply not easy to train.
Can the operators operate the system from a location that is different from where the actual batteries are? Because
No.
I know obviously those batteries are going to be a target, and I mean it would be difficult for people to volunteer if they thought that they were going to put themselves at risk of. But if they can operate it from a distance, a safe distance, then they'd be more likely.
Not really, because the system, how it's set up, you have a central command post, you have radars, you have launchers. For the certain distance, they can be maybe 50 meters. But when they hit with Kinjal or Pet or Zircon, let's say, or Iskander, the blast is 100 meters. So no, there is no way.
Very dangerous job.
Exactly, very dangerous job because bear in mind, when the ballistic missile attack that system, it's attacking through the cone of silence, basically from the top or very steep angle, let's say between 80 and 90 degrees. So that area is not covered. And how Patriot actually works? Patriot is not covering 360 degrees. Patriot is covering certain sphere. Hemisphere to say better, let's say up to 270, 280 degrees, that segment, but they need support battery to cover their back and to cover that cone of silence, so that vertical space, so that they can engage if somebody is coming from the top. Also, as soon as they turn on fire control radar, Russia will detect it. Russian fighters will detect it and launch anti-radiation missiles. So they have to deal with let's say 20 to 30 seconds gap to launch, guide, and turn off radar, because they will get anti-radiation missile right into the into the emitter, into the antenna. So that will be about the people. Secondly, hardware. Hardware is something which is, of course, very well designed. It's a capable system. It's a complicated system and need a very expensive system. It costs several billions of dollars or many billions of dollars just to develop that system. Then there is a different types of missiles for the, let's say, PAC-2 or PAC-3. So PAC-3 is the U.S. claim that they can hit ballistic missiles. Yeah, of course they tested that. They probably hit something, but all claims that they hit Kinjal. I posted that on Substack. Pure technical analysis, how Kinjal is acting and how PAC-3, for instance, can intercept it. Probability is 0, because they need to have trained people to do that. They need to have somebody almost from the factory. Those guys who developed that system, who operated that system, who tested that system. So they need those guys. But also, even if the states send somebody with that qualification. It's not a proving ground. It's not some desert in Yuma or whatever. So this is combat zone, and it's not, Kim Jong is not going alone. It will be several of them at the same time.
So the ability for it to hit hypersonic missiles is
There is a theoretical ability, but for instance, with PAC-3, they need to do direct impact. So there is no proximity fuse. So they need to guide a missile to hit that directly, simply kinetic impact to disable it. But the only way that they can probably try to hit Kinjal is on the up when they launch it, actually, so that they can try to intercept when for instance MiG-31 when it's launched the system, but it's happening 600 kilometers. So I'm just talking about theory. That will be a possibility. And the next one is when the missile from that stratosphere or above the exoatmosphere, it's coming toward from let's say relatively horizontal path to the vertical path, because they're losing some velocities, those missiles, when they change the trajectory. They can try to do that, but that is happening in the cone of silence. So then they need to have one or two other batteries covering that. So Ukrainians need to have, for instance, if the Kiev is target, they need to have 3 batteries to cover Kiev. But Russia will know exactly where those batteries are located. First through the electronic intelligence, then to the people. Of course, the Russian sympathizers, collaborators, they will tip off. Yeah, and after that, it will not be one Kinjal. It will be a salvo of cruise missiles going in that direction. It will be drones. Everything is synchronized to come at the same time. So those missileers in the command station, in the guidance station, they will have a trouble to decide what to engage. And above that, they will have Kinjals coming from the cone of silence right on the top. End of the game.
So what do you make of the big propaganda push to pretend that, if only we had the Patriots, we can win? Like why is this big marketing? I mean, it seems like a marketing campaign to convince, people that we need to produce more Patriots. And
yeah, who is benefiting from that? Follow the money. Military industrial complex. Or I'm calling that often military investment complex. Where is that complex? In the States. So those
Which
guys
one is
are the
this?
one.
General Dynamics or Raytheon?
Yeah, General Dynamics, Raytheon. So those guys. I mean, they have fantastic production, top notch, but they're the one who's making money. So they're the one. Everything is in marketing. In the West, everything is in marketing. I'm often comparing that as like a used car sales guys. So our cars, no matter how can looking they are, how rusty they are, they're the best. So everything is in polishing and trying to sell story to the people.
Yeah,
there is no magic weapon, there is no wonder weapon. So capable system, but simply exaggerated to the form that they're trying to convince people, if we have enough of them, we will win the war. The war is not won with one weapon.
Yeah, of course. Why is there a dearth of Patriots? Like, I mean, how come if everybody wants them and Ukraine could use them, because everybody admits they're a good system, a decent system, and Ukraine could use them and it would help Ukraine. How come the West hasn't produced more of them? Is it? I mean, does it go back to our capitalist system where the private owners want guarantees?
Exactly, extremely expensive system, because it costs, let's say, 10 times more than S-300. Too many midwives to say are involved in that system. Too many people need to put money in their pockets. First, directors, CEOs, they need to lubricate those guys from the biggest brothel in the world, which is nothing but the U.S. Congress. So they need to bribe those guys. So everything is involved. So that's the reason why the system is so expensive. The second thing is there is a certain reserves. Every country, every military count on a certain reserves. So in the case of all-out war, So they need to have reserves for that. How these things will go? Those missiles which are now in the reserve, or somewhere in the U.S. bases, or Germany, or Netherlands, they will send small portion of that, and that money which is allocated in that deal, 61 billion. That money will go to the MIC so that they can produce the new one, which will stay in the States. So Ukrainians will not get anything more that is optimal to keep Western defense on the top level, just in the case that all-out war breaks. So the second thing, let's assume that they can send 25 batteries. How Ukrainians are going to fill crews for those 25 batteries? They can barely scramble crews for, let's say, 3, because out of 5, let's say the 3 are lost. Americans or Germans, they replaced a couple of launchers or guidance stations. But again, we're going back to that 23 months of training. They can put somebody from the street or some volunteers, contractors to do that, but you need to have cohesion. You need to have a system that will operate 24/7, three combat shifts, and you will always have some kind of breakdowns of equipment, destroyed or damaged. So once when even they have 25 batteries, out of those 25 batteries, let's say that 18 will be operational. So 7 will be on more or less maintenance phases or hit in the first week or two. So they will move those batteries toward the front line, but Russia is not going to stand idle. Russia developed the tactics how to engage those batteries.
They're hunting them.
Yeah, they're hunting them. But also Patriots, they need support. It's not just one system fits everything. When Russia locate one Patriot battery, they will send 10 cruise missiles on that. They will send several Kinjals. And they can do that everything at the same time.
And I was gonna about the idea of the lack of training for the operators. I mean, I know we saw a lot of videos. Look what the Russians did. They just attacked this apartment building. You know, why would the Russians attack an apartment building? And probably what happened was the Russians took out, you know, some kind of a military target, and the defense, the Patriot defense,
they've stopped for a month because there's no air defenses left. There's no
exactly, because see what is happening when they hit some of those civilian buildings. Let's say, for instance, school or hotel. This is the perfect place to keep somebody important, because you're not going to put ordinary infantrymen into hotel. You're going to put some advisors, some foreigners, something who is higher in the ranks. Infantry, those dust eaters, they will be in the trenches. This is the place for them. But those command staff,
no offense, Ian.
No offense, of course. But those guys in command role, on high role, they will be in the luxury hotels. They will have services there, and of course, people talk. What happened in Chernihiv? I know that that hotel actually, and every hotel in Chernihiv is full of Ukrainian soldiers. Everyone. But Russia is not hitting them on the scale that, for instance, if it's the opposite, for instance, U.S. Is involved instead of Russia. U.S. Air Forces will hit everything. It will level factories. It will level all civilian infrastructures, hydro power plants, dams, everything.
In Serbia, in your home.
Yeah, that happened with us. But we know we are just a fraction, 1/10 of thousand of the strength of Russia or Ukraine. Bear in mind that before when Ukraine became the independent country, when you count the number of air defense units per square mileage, Ukraine was even stronger in that field than Russia.
I mean, last year there were articles that Kiev is the most protected place on earth, and not just Patriots. There was like the Iris-T from Germany, the SMT from France. They just had a collection of every sort of
it's a mixed match of everything. So you need to assemble people for all of that stuff, and air defense units can't function properly alone. They need support. So Patriot will need support, let's say, of NASAMS. So something that, or let's say Book M1, so that's something that can engage low-level flights, because it will be ridiculous to fire to launch one Patriot missile against a Shahid drone or Geran drone. So that's the reason why they need SHORAD or mid-range defense systems. Also, they need to have integrated air defense, so something that will cover the whole country. They had it. That system was seriously degraded. Now, all informations, which is actually the strongest weapon that the Western can do, is military intelligence. All assets, from the drones, space systems, everything is now put in to help Ukrainians. And anytime when you see some drones flying, those high altitude recognizing drones flying over the Black Sea, it's 100% that the attack will follow. And everybody ask, or many people ask, why Russia is not destroying that stuff.
And
Well,
they're always close to Sochi, and Russia doesn't destroy them. And some
Yeah.
people are getting impatient.
Yeah, impatient. But Russia has reasons why they're not doing that. Russia doesn't want to escalate, but once when they escalate, end of the story.
Koniec filma. That was
Koniec
at
filma.
the end of every Soviet movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Koniec filma. It is going to happen. Bear in mind, now it's special military operation, the lowest level of armed conflict. The next level will be probably anti-terrorist operation. After that is full-scale war. So Russia is not fighting with the full scale. Russia is fighting only with the professional troops, volunteers.
Yeah.
But in the next phase, if Russia really start to take things seriously, Ukraine will be probably just Lviv and few surrounding villages.
I mean, we're all waiting for the actual release of the Crocus City Hall intelligence that they've gathered on that terrorist attack, because Russia didn't really have a huge official response to this 95 billion aid. All that they said that this is direct support for terrorism, and the second thing was, because it was part of it, was confiscating Russian assets. We'll have a response. We have more than that.
Absolutely,
US
absolutely.
assets.
They're going to confiscate the Western assets. And what is important in Western Europe or North America, private property. Nobody's touching that, and people who lose that stuff, we're going to lose that stuff, will not be happy. And those people are not you, me, or somebody else low level that lives from paycheck to paycheck. Those guys are investors, and they don't like to lose money.
Yeah, the House of Saud, the oil, they're parking money here because they think it's safe. And when that illusion bursts. But anyway, before we switch topics, I wanted to ask you, since you're in the weapon system mode, and then we can shift to anything. I wonder if there's a connection between what Iran did, over Israel, and what I would call, the complete saturation of the system.
Absolutely.
Like four or five countries needed to shoot down the little Dorito drones, the Shahids.
It was.
But wait. There was this video. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. But when the actual ballistic missiles, I think they were Mark V, meaning supersonic, not even hypersonic, when they came in above the targets in the Negev desert, you can see at the end there was flares, there was quick maneuvers, and then speeding up into the target, at least 5 hits in one. Do you think that has something to do with the panic? Like Britain is talking about, we need an Iron Dome above England now, and everybody's hanging on to the little systems, because do you think that caused something of a panic?
Well, definitely it will cause those politicians to brag about new investment, about protection. You mentioned Iron Dome. Iron Dome is just a short-range anti-ballistic rocket system. Israelis, they have David Sling, they have Arrow. The Americans, they put a THAAD system there. So everything that most expensive things in the world regarding to that protection is there. So Israel is now most protected. And those several bases are most protected places on Earth, more protected than Washington, D.C., White House, or Kremlin even. So the multi-layered protection, and multiple countries are using that. Iranians attack synchronized, so they send drones, they send cruise missiles, they send old ballistic missiles. So Iranians, they didn't disclose the latest one. And those ballistic missiles, they have maneuverable re-entry vehicles. So let's say the top, where those multiple warheads are located, it's separate from the booster, and booster drops somewhere maybe 100 kilometers from the place, maybe 200, who knows. Then those multiple re-entry, maneuverable re-entry vehicles, they have programmed trajectory. So they're flying. They will adjust it. Some of them will be hit. But Iran showed one very important thing. They can launch simultaneous attack on the multiple targets, saturating air defense, and hit as well with the old stuff.
Yeah, I think people got really what's the best word?
Exactly.
They got the skitters from that.
Yeah, then Israel brag about retaliatory attack, revenge, and we saw what happened. I mean, they launched few drones inside Isfahan.
Quadricopters.
Yeah, quadricopters from their network. But I have to praise Israelis because they have a very extensive network of spies or collaborators in Iran itself. So they were able to launch it. But you order stuff from Amazon. You got a drone. You hang. You buy on the black market hand grenade, or using Tor or whatever of those systems. You can purchase that illegal stuff, or you can improvise in your garage if you have enough skills. So they attach that to the quadricopter, launch guided, and if it's hit, it's hit. But Israel didn't attack with their aeroballistic missiles. So they were around Iraq through the Jordanian space, and the Jordanians are actually extended range of Israeli air defense.
Yes.
Like Saudis, of course. Iraq is occupied anyway, so nobody asks Iraqis anyway. Syrians, they can't fly to the Syria because it will be Russians are there. So they're using Jordan to try to engage in that attack. They try to engage Iranian drones from the over Jordan and Iraq with the help of US and Brits. Of course, Brits are there. Nothing can go without them. Yeah,
they came from. I mean, these were the two countries that boasted about what they did. Was the Britons coming from Cyprus, and the Americans boasted about like 60 shot down from the aircraft. So basically,
if they shot down 60, they should show that on TV. That's how marketing works. So they will show exactly. We shut down 60. Here's everything. Yeah. They shut down several, I would say, but about 99%. What are they talking about? 99% of what? Then they said 98, then 89. I would say 50% because many of those maneuverable reentry vehicles are counted as independent ballistic missiles. So if one ballistic missile has a 6, those 6, and they send 10, it will be 60 reentry vehicles hitting different places. But Iran showed that they can attack anytime they want, anywhere they want.
Yeah.
With the amazing precision. They even didn't want to hit, let's say, F-35 hangars. They hit runway, they hit some unimportant buildings. And the Israelis said,
no one died.
They said, no, it's a miss. Precision is 0, whatever. No.
Yeah, they haven't shown photographs either. They showed one photograph of a hole with dugout earth next to it. That's what they said the impact.
At least they need to have somebody. They need to hire. Maybe they can hire somebody from Ukraine about those building that propaganda. Just go to first dealership and hire some of those used car sales managers or guys, so at least they can do something.
So we talked about the SMO perhaps morphing into a anti-terror operation, and there's some speculation that once Zelensky's term is actually finished in May, that might actually change the approach that Russia takes to the conflict. Carlo, did you have?
Yeah, I had a question for Mike. In this new bill that passed the Congress, there's a talk that ATACMS are also included. Do you see any reality to that? Are ATACMS really going to be used against the Kursk bridge?
Can I add that shorter range ATACMS, I believe, have already been transferred?
They were there. So they will probably transfer something up to 300 kilometers, but they are trying to convince public that Ukraine will not attack Russian mainland. You say mainland, but once. Russia is actually now following that. Russia is trying to localize the positions where those missiles will be stacked in some underground storages. And when you hear that, for instance, such and such airport was attacked, some unimportant building was struck, it wasn't unimportant because they probably. See, Russian intelligence, they're following everything. They will know from the moment when those missiles land into Poland, to the transport routes, to the last position where they will be unloaded from the train or from the trucks, then Russia will strike those places. Some of missiles. I believe that the Ukrainians, they already launched a few on Janko Air Base. They were successful destroying one battery. I'm always saying, credit where credit's due. So that was a mistake of Russian defense because they didn't engage them. But bear in mind, we don't know details. Some of those missiles were hit. It's a huge front. It's more than 700 kilometers.
Closer to 1,000, yeah.
Yeah, closer to 1,000. But once when Russia detect the launch of ballistic missile, immediately all Russian available assets will be upon that area. And they will not probably attack right away launcher. They will follow launcher to some places for reloading. And that will be in some, let's say, industrial building or maybe even school. So when you heard that some school was blown up in Zaporozhye, well, guess what was inside?
So you're suggesting even the ATACMS aren't game changers. They're not going to be marching on Moscow just because the U.S. gives them, 300-kilometer range ATACMS. Okay.
No. There is no game changer.
Yeah, no.
It's just stories for fools. So that those I don't even know how to call them. That look through the propaganda material and other stuff. Simply, there is no game changer. The game changer, you know what will be in this war? Somebody saying enough in Kiev to say, hey, enough is enough. Let's now talk with Russians.
Yeah.
Because we all speak Russian language and kicked out those Brits or Americans or French out because they created the mess. But that will be the game changer in this war.
If we could get to that point, my Prime Minister.
I doubt.
Orban says that a lot of the West is suffering from war psychosis, but I think Ian had something to say about it.
Yes, I think we're being a little overly optimistic about the countermeasures against ATACMS. ATACMS is fired from those same HIMARS launchers because they can be reconfigured, and so that probably is just the shorter range GMR. If I can pronounce it correctly, the GPS guided munitions for the HIMARS launchers are probably one of the most effective weapons.
Yeah, HIMARS, yes, because HIMARS can saturate for the short period of time one designated area. But if Russia has, for instance, one Tor battery there, Russia will engage with two Tor missiles. Will engage each HIMARS rocket, and that will guarantee 99% of destruction. And Tor, let's say Tor M1 or M2 has 8 to 10 seconds reaction time. Panzer S will also engage that, let's say, even further, up to 15, 16 kilometers. So Russia needs to think how to cover area, how to saturate area, make echelons of air defense. So medium range, short range, and manpads, point defense. So that they can try to engage those. Of course, manpad it's not able to engage HIMARS, but Shorts can engage HIMARS. Panzer S, which is, let's say, close to the medium range, it can engage ATACMS, and also HIMARS. S300V is optimized to engage any ballistic missile, from Tochka to ATACMS. So it's not a problem. But if they are available,
that's what professionals called layered, right? Because previously you said integrated, which is different.
Yeah.
Layered is this different kind of all the way
exactly.
to S550, satellites and hypersonics.
Yeah, exactly. So they and Russia have that. Of course, Russia is not fighting only Ukraine. Ukrainians just are the tip of that let's say the quotes like a sword of Western sword, because the whole Western intelligence designated for that portion of the world is engaged against Russia. So Russia is fighting the whole NATO intelligence, NATO assets. Russia could wipe out the Ukrainian forces if it's just against Ukraine. They can wipe them in a month. But the problem is that West is deep to their throats. in this war. But
And they
when I
have
said,
been for 10 years.
yeah, they have been for 10 years. But deep to the throat is just a few fingers, or let's say inch and a half to the mouth. So somebody is going to get choked and drowned into this engagement.
We're talking about the context of Ukraine trying to figure out any kind of way to continue to resist Russia's advance, and it's looking real difficult for them, and it's causing a lot of panic in the West. But you also have other fronts. So you have like the South China Sea, you have Taiwan, you have the Middle East, you have Israel, Palestine, there's Yemen and Iran. What do you think is going to be the Western response to all these fronts? I mean, are we going to just see continued escalation, and where is that going to end? I mean, in your opinion?
Well, first thing first is Israel is the most important for the West.
Yeah.
If Israel is getting into deep trouble, Ukrainian problem, your war in Ukraine is going down the drain. They're finished. They're going to forget about them. The next one is China. Chinese are smart. They're just waiting. They're winning the all wars just without participation. Ukraine is now occupying. Actually, Ukraine occupied the first place until October the 7th. Ukraine is now on the backstage, and that is trend that I don't think that is going to change. West is going to push enough equipment, enough money to keep them afloat, but it's not going to go.
November.
Well, in November, who knows what is going to happen? November is a month is going to happen, but is it really going to be elections? Well, I doubt that it will be any fair elections. I hope that it will be. I mean, normal American people deserve that. Normal American people.
YouTube, they're going to be free and fair. YouTube.
Yeah, but
yes, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. I really hope that. But when you look at both of those political parties, more or less they're working for one master, and that master is the one who controls military-industrial complex.
It's the Western mode of it's how basically the economy is structured. So what do you think about this? Because the answer seems to be throw money at it, but obviously we're not really. I mean, people. Zelensky said that starting tomorrow, all the Ukrainians abroad are not going to have consulary or ambassadorial services between the ages of 18 and 60 unless they have a military card or ID, which is horrible. But this is the response of the fucking rat. I'm sorry to say that. What do you think about this? It's English, but it's got subtitles. Let's go.
Vladimir Putin thinks he can outlast us and outlast Ukraine. The message out of Capri is he can't and will not. We are determined as a G7 to continue our strong support for Ukraine.
I mean, there's more to it. But
it's a comedy. It's a comedy. I mean, I look at that, and every time when I hear him talking, it's a joker. Basically, that guy is just, let's say, PR for who knows what.
And believe it or not, they're sending him to intimidate China. Can you believe that? Sending him to warn
in Beijing.
In Beijing to intimidate China not to support Russia. At least
he will be very successful, I guess.
I hope it's televised.
He will be very successful. He will probably
he'll be greeted by the vice mayor of
mayor of some village in the northern Xinjiang. I mean, ridiculous what kind of people they have, but he was some kind of elected official before, or maybe not. I'm not really familiar with how U.S. put those people, but it's like a Vicky Nuland, cookie lady. What to say? I'm trying to not to laugh, try to be serious, but it's really hard to answer properly on questions about those guys.
Yeah, the problem is they're taken seriously by the entirety of the Western press, and that influences, your normal average person's opinion. And so people just don't know better than to laugh at these fucking fools, and people just take it seriously, and that's the problem. But anybody that knows what the fuck is going on laughs at them.
Exactly. Exactly, and again, because U.S. is and still is the most powerful country in the world, and I'm always saying there's hardly better people than ordinary Americans. I have so many friends. It's so easygoing people. But government is completely opposite. There is nothing normal in that government. Everything is just serving some kind of interests, filling their pockets, and I believe it will be nothing short of the world class circus as we approaching to November.
How are
wait, let me
so-
add Western Europe to that, because they
Yeah,
also
of
serve
course,
the
of course.
the interests of Washington, and we're going to have a July EU election. Is
Mhm.
absolute shit show. Go ahead, Billy.
Well, I mean, again, I'm wondering, I mean, how do you think it's going to play out? I mean, I guess a lot of it's going to determine on November. Once that is established, who the front person, who the public face is of the administration, or, of the Western ruling class, then they're going to figure out, a plan of action to respond to all these collapses on all these different fronts. But I mean, do you have any strong opinions about how that's going to play out?
Well, if Biden continue, it will be it's much easier to answer that, because U.S. Will go much deeper into that cesspool that they created. If Trump win, then in that case, yeah, it will be some smaller support to Ukraine. But Trump is a president. But those who control people, who put this kind of leaders, they're the ones who are going to decide. So in that case, I believe that Ukraine will go, regarding to the U.S., Ukraine will go down the drain. It will be some engagement, because the BlackRock need to get money back. Investor, they need money back. Israel is going to be paramount. Is everything for Israel. China, so, because also North Korea is there, and
Now Iran.
In Iran. So the world changed for good, forever, I would say, actually, because now there is BRICS, which is rapidly gaining strength, and G7, which is just clowns that have nothing but the banking system, money laundering system on the global scale. There is no production in Europe on the level that it was before, or let's say 50 years ago, or production in the US and Canada that was 50 years ago. Now what we have here, we have service industry, fast food, banking, and that's it. And in Canada we have Drival, of course, Drival and 2x4s.
Oh, and all
For the construction
financialized.
industry.
I think it's called the fire sector, right? Finance, insurance.
That stuff. Anything related to money, but money. If you print money, you will create inflation. So you need to have some backup for that money. BRICS countries, they have industry.
Commodities.
Yeah, they have industries. They have mineral reserves.
So this whole globalism, the whole globalist idea of free trade, and we're going to have, private industry just, being able to trade from country to country without any tariffs, without any, impediments. And this is going to be great for everyone, because it's going to, everybody's going to prosper. It's going to allow people's cost of living, their quality of life, their living standards to increase. Living standards will increase everywhere. But now they've kind of just gone away from that narrative. And now they're saying, no, China's overproducing. China has too much stuff. And now they want to give it to us. So that's a threat to us. China's being bad. But I thought the whole point was so we could have cheap commodities and everybody could enjoy technology and renewable energy, like these batteries and these solar panels. Like, wasn't that the whole point of improving people's quality of life? And now that it's actually becoming a reality with China lowering the prices, now that's a threat that we've got to attack China over.
Of course, because Western countries lost production capacities. For instance, China, look at the phone, just ordinary iPhone. In China, it costs maybe $200 to produce. If you want somebody to bring all of that stuff in the States, it will cost about $4,000 to $5,000 to produce. And where are the margins? Where are the margins for that? So time when China was just a factory shipping the stuff in the States, ruled by the oligarchs from the West, it's over. So we now what we have here, we're talking our standard is going down. In Canada, prices are 30% up, and they're talking that we don't have inflation. Now we recently got increase of the gas prices, and everything went up. I saw the similar story in former Yugoslavia. Slowly but steady increasing the prices. Inflation is kicking in. Crisis. People start to hate each other, and we all know how Yugoslavia finished.
Unfortunately,
How Yugoslavia ended. Yeah. So.
And it exposes the previous marketing lies that globalism was sold to us. Globalism was sold to everybody in the United States as it's going to be a great thing because it's going to lower prices, it's going to increase access to these commodities. But that was just a marketing ploy to benefit the Western corporations. And now that they are no longer benefiting from that relationship, they've just changed their ideology. Now they're going to shove a totally different marketing campaign down our throats because they think we won't know any better, and most people won't know any better. But
well, the Western elite shoot themselves in the both feet, both legs, not even foot, both legs, knees. So it's
Orban said that, by the way.
I appreciate his thought. Orban is really he's a smart guy, and he put the interest of his country first, not the interest of oligarchs in EU.
Yeah, for that he's hated. He's reviled for that.
He's a Putinist. He's a reincarnated
now
Hitler.
Slovakia also. Slovaks also trying to put their country first. And once when you lose your country in that way, giving everything to some fictive or whatever organization which is not elected, like a European Parliament,
or the Commission. That's absolutely
Commission. It's lost. It's done. Finished.
Even Georgia now, and
in the
wanting to make the NGOs register, or more to the point, Africa, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, now Chad and Senegal.
Yeah,
everybody's moving away. Everybody's becoming aware that the U.S. based system is not good.
We want that awareness.
It's been the problem all along.
We want that awareness to spread to Western Europe.
Than the difference between AFRICOM and the Belt and Road Initiative. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the difference is so glaring.
Where dollars get turned into real commodities.
If there's a free and fair election in the United States here in November, that'll be the first time in its history.
Yeah, but there's so ways how to. I believe it will be a lot of stealing. And what may happen? What may happen in the States?
We need to point out here that Trump has endorsed that spending bill. So that's
and he said we need to save Ukraine.
Yeah,
that's a bucket of cold water on those of us who are optimistic at this idea.
Exactly. So
and Moscow Marjorie.
Follow the money. So you will see how who is pulling that stuff. So there is somebody above U.S. government who is pulling those strings. I used to. I don't believe in too much in conspiracy theories, but definitely those guys on the top, they are controlled by somebody.
Oh yeah.
So somebody is pulling the strings.
Well, they call it. It's aptly called the deep state.
Deep state, yeah. Deep state.
Permanent state. That's what Russia calls it.
And that's an apparatus for the hyper wealthy. And it's like when I was young in the Vietnam War, we saw corporate the corporations. The CIA was basically a private army for the corporation.
Yeah,
and it's still true. I mean, the church committee did an investigation, and around 100 of their employees were either CIA assets or CIA agents. 100 out of 600. So it's still that way. Bezos has contracts with U.S. intelligence.
Of course, yes. Bezos, then Musk, all of them have contracts, so they are legally bonded to work for them.
Yeah,
true. On the money front, I just want to add, not really, like just data points, like a couple of them, because part of this 95 billion bill was obviously confiscating Russian assets, an option to sanction Iranian oil heading to China. After what they did was, I think they sanctioned in London, the London Metal Exchange, Russian metals. They bought it in huge quantities. Washington didn't. And in the meantime, this thing, as you said, the money printer goes brr, brr, but Yellen has to create what do they call them, government bonds. And for months, a lot of the Bloomberg Financial Times, they said, we're having trouble selling these bonds, where it's not really that easy. And that's why they're looking at those 200 billions in assets and trying to steal it, because it's just not that simple as it always has been. And people are looking at the alternative. Just so you know, interesting thing, Xi Jinping, who's heading to Europe next, is first going to experience the shock of Paris, which is a cesspool. But the next two countries he's heading to is Serbia and then Hungary. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Of course, he's a smart man. He's a smart man, definitely. And I am glad that he's going to meet Orban. Vucic, Serbian president.
He's divisive.
He's divisive. So I know him personally. I know when he was radical in early 1990s. But people change. If you want to find out the real character of person, put him into the power. Give him some power, and he will show himself.
I thought put him under pressure, but that's good.
But give him a power, because under pressure is different. People can, but if the person have a power, he's going to exercise that. He's going to use that on many different ways. So that is one of the ways. There is old expression in Serbian describing that kind of let's say stuff or procedure.
So I always kind of describe the Western ruling establishment as innumerable different factions within the establishment. The military-industrial complex, the insurance companies, healthcare industries. There's the Zionist lobby. There's just, a whole bunch of rich billionaires with competing and overlapping interests, and they kind of fight it out amongst themselves to develop a coherent policy and approach. But it's a chaotic thing, and it's, they put in place this government that's just a figurehead, right? It's just like a stand-in. It's a pretend democracy that doesn't have any real power, and behind the scenes is where the policy is decided. When these factions fight it out amongst themselves. So to that extent, it doesn't really matter, who wins, whether it's going to be Trump. We saw Trump win before. Trump was a president for 4 years, guys, and what changed?
Nothing.
You can say that he tried to change things, but he wasn't able to. So it just shows you the lack of democracy and the joke that we are a democracy. It's a dictatorship of the wealthy elite. It's an oligarchy, and so I was going to talk about the Middle East a little bit. I wanted to make the point that our Western media, that is the PR arm of our Western dictatorship, they have the Western media is their public relations arm. And they've really been trying to distract from these atrocities that, Israel has been perpetrating in Gaza. And they've been able to do that successfully by raising this big, huge ruckus about the anti-Semitism on college universities. Isn't that awful?
Absolutely.
Just look away from the 700 people, doctors and nurses and patients that were executed and had their heads tied behind their back at the hospital. But let's focus on how individual self-identified Jewish students feel unsafe on Columbia University.
Yeah, and Yale.
It's tragic what's going on in Gaza, and they're trying to brainwash people. If it's genocide, just call it genocide. And every single word in the definition of genocide is applicable in Gaza case, on Gaza case. So I have nothing really to say, because normal person must acknowledge that something is awful, something which is out of any kind of human behavior is going there.
And
I think everybody in the world acknowledges and knows that.
The hypocrisy with how they pretended that there was atrocities in Bucha and how big of a story that was, how they tried to promote that, with how they try and hide and obfuscate, conceal, and talk about other things when the actual atrocities take place. And the whole world sees that. The whole world sees the hypocrisy, and that's all these events seem to be just increasing the velocity at which the Western Empire is collapsing, and that's great.
Yeah,
It's also
absolutely.
dangerous.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit dangerous.
Well,
Since we only have you for about 5 minutes, by the way, thank you for the hour of your time. I wanted one last topic to get your thoughts on this. Apparently, there might be a nuclear Poland because Andrzej Duda, who is the actual president, went and talked to Joe Biden, and he announced this in Washington. But the new Prime Minister Tusk, who is a different party, they're opposing forces. He didn't really know about this. He said we'll have to talk at the opportune time. What do you think this is? What's behind this?
Well,
By the way, these are the guys who also refused to hand over their Patriots. Like openly
Left
refused.
hand. Left hand doesn't know what right hand is doing. So opposing opinions. Maybe it's just a game, but Poland first will never control nuclear weapons. That will be only U.S. controlled. So if they put a truck
like
with
Germany.
like Germany, if they put a truck with 5, 6, 10 warheads that can be or bombs that can be loaded into the airplanes, so be it. I don't see any problem with that. It's just another target, nothing else. And Russia has 6,000 nuclear rockets that they can, or bombs that can obliterate everything. So it's just banging into the drums, war drums, trying to look as strong, but it's simply nothing. It will be the same story like nuclear weapons in Germany, nuclear weapons in Turkey or in Italy. Yeah, so be it. Russia has nuclear weapons in Belarus.
I was just thinking, why now? I mean, are they hell-bent? They're looking at, Ukraine disintegrating, and maybe they want to go into Lvov. They call it that, not Lviv. And they need a deterrent to be safe. I just don't understand why now.
Yeah, flexing the muscles, the first thing. But the chance that Ukraine may be divided. And for instance, Poles, they will claim Galicia, Romanians, they will claim their part, Hungarians, Transcarpathia. Russia will probably take Odessa up to the Pridnestrovye. So Ukraine, it's very, very plausible stuff that it may happen, because more or less Ukraine is a country that was created by Lenin. And
Putin blames him.
Yeah. So they want to get the communization. Yeah, so be it.
Also,
money is exchanged.
But
Go ahead,
the problem is investment. BlackRock, they purchased a huge amount of land, huge land masses, and the Ukraine soil is the most fertile in Europe. So it is investment. And those investors, nobody like to lose. So what they can get if they lose in that portion, so what they can get to make equal, to make let's say to put the draw. Or I doubt that they will get any sufficient stuff to justify their investment, but at least to draw it, to be on zero. Those guys are the ones who are going to decide what is going to happen with Ukraine. Well, on the western side, and of course it will be Putin, Shoigu, and Gerasimov on the Russian side.
True.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Any kind of settlement that they end up discussing, that's going to be the U.S. #1 top priority. Hey, BlackRock has to be made even.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
made even, make a draw.
Yeah.
I just want to add that according to an analyst at Izvestia, Russian major news outlet, this is all to get influence within the EU, to become America's favorite pet, basically, saying we outweigh Germans and the French, and we're the next Ukraine.
It's simply Europe is vassals on the most elementary
competing vassals,
competing vassals.
So
they lost any power. The UK and France, they still have nuclear weapons, but look at their military. For instance, British military, if you put the whole armed forces, you can barely fill the Wembley Stadium in London.
Yeah, I think George Galloway said that, but there's like 30,000 seats still free.
Yeah, and it will be a lot of places for those, a lot of empty seats. Yeah, so no, they're just trying to play tough guys.
I think and nukes in Poland is like any other business deal. Lobbyists, bribes, uh, the elite get a big taste of the money. I had one.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time for it, but I knew Pierre Spray, the great critic of the F-35, even though he was an engineer working on the project. I knew him through his recording because we both liked avant-garde jazz. He had a Maple Shade recording studio where they did analog recordings because he thought digital was just absolutely inferior and destroyed every aspect of enjoying recorded music. But what do you think of the F-35 as an engineer?
Overpriced, over-engineered, underperformed.
Yeah,
Nice
That's
and terse.
Pierre's opinion of his own plane.
Yeah. It simply costs too much. The best user of F-35 is actually Israelis, but they're training, hitting Gazans or Lebanese Hezbollah in Lebanon.
That's why it was shown in a car chase and car destruction in Die Hard, and that's why people believe it's amazing. One of the Die Hard movies.
I mean, I like the concept, how they want to make one universal plane, but there are so many disadvantages that we need 3 hours just to mention all of them, and it's so expensive that no normal country can't afford to have them. It's a budget breaker.
Yeah.
So the United States is doing a joint Navy military drills with the Philippines in contested areas of the South China Sea. Maybe that's going on as we speak. Do you think the U.S. is trying to angle the Philippines to be the next Ukraine and trying to get the Philippines to sacrifice themselves in a attack on China?
They will do anyone. They will sacrifice anyone just to go instead of them.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter what is the name of that country. Doesn't matter who is president. That's the way how everything is set up.
They deputize pawns.
I hope the Philippines know better. I hope Bongbong Marcos Jr. Doesn't sign his people up for that. Because it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out well for Ukraine,
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work well.
Australia
time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. You mentioned that you have another meeting, and we don't.
I have it at 1:15 local time, so I have 12 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, good, great.
I was going to talk about. I know Africa Stream, Carlo. You have been promoting Africa Stream, and I watched one of their videos on YouTube. They had the Prime Minister or President of Guyana talking to a British reporter, and the British reporter was just talking to him about this, this newly discovered $160 billion worth of oil and natural gas found in Guyana, and so that's led to a crisis with Venezuela. Venezuela is saying, that's a lot of that is on territory that should be part of Venezuela. Are you guys familiar with this whole issue?
Carlo,
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about South America now, so
yeah.
I really historically, I read a little bit about it, but I really can't. I think at one time that part of Guyana was under Venezuelan control, but somehow the British. I'm not sure. I really can't comment on it, to tell you the truth.
So
Venezuela's
from my knowledge, it's a disputed area, rich area. So Venezuela, I believe that they have legal claims for that based on the stuff that I read. But bear in mind, U.S. they need crisis. U.S. government, they need crisis. Doesn't matter where. Doesn't matter how big. If they can build the crisis between Guyana and Venezuela up to the armed conflict, that's excellent, because that is the way how they can weak Venezuela. So this is the way how things working. Bear in mind, the U.S. consider South America front yard or backyard. So zone of their interest. They have Cuba, they have Venezuela, I believe, Salvador, Nicaragua, those countries which simply said, hey, enough is enough. We want to live
Yeah.
our own life.
Not Argentina, unfortunately.
Yeah, not Argentina. I mean, they got that. I don't know even how to define
Milei,
Milei is, I don't know, libertarian, crazy.
What I find curious is that Venezuela initiated or reinvigorated the project to take back that part of Guyana, and why they did it at this point, I'm not aware. I don't know why.
I think
what
they were
oil
all
they
discovered.
have, the international price is very strong right now, so that's helping the Venezuelan economy.
Yeah, definitely they have a reason.
With all the sanctions, but I don't understand why Venezuela would approach take that approach toward the Guyana holdings right now at this point. Not aware of that. I don't know.
Yeah, probably there is something. I mean, they want to solve that the dispute, and maybe they simply feel that U.S. is weak at this moment. But based on the reaction, U.S. Southern Command, they all jump against that. They're getting ready, lining Colombia, lining Argentina, everyone that they can bring into the same boat against Venezuela, because Venezuela is a rich country. They almost destroyed, but Venezuela they aligned with the BRICS, and they will become the member of BRICS. Venezuela has natural resources, oil, minerals, so something which U.S. business is pretty much interested.
Yeah, I covet it. Now that you just have 5 minutes and you're good at giving very fast but still substantive answers, there's 3 hotspots that I just want to get your quick thoughts on, just quick fire, okay? One was Moldova, because Gagauzia and all the opposition went to Moscow and they created this bloc called the Pobeda bloc of the opposition, the victory bloc, who say we're not going to go along with whatever Chisinau, Maya Sandu wants. It gives me some sort of hope. Georgia was the second one, and my prime minister Orban, he's advocating for Bosnia and Herzegovina to join the EU, but he's also visiting Milorad Dodik in Republika Srpska, the unrecognized Serbian state within it. And I'm just, go for it.
Yeah, first, Gagauzia, they know what is going on, and that Moldova will be Moldova is just a proxy to create a crisis. So they know the poorest country in Europe, next to Ukraine. They're trying to to create a crisis, because any kind of crisis created closer to Russia works for the West. Georgia is included, and in Georgia, since they introduced that law regarding to the foreign registration of foreign
the Putin law or Russian law,
they call it Putin law. Yeah, I mean, sovereign country must have control what is going on. Otherwise, you have all kind of money laundering, all kind of intelligences. Those NGOs are very dangerous, actually, organizations. Some of them are, of course, working honestly and genuine, but most of them are just cover-ups for intelligence operations. Bosnia and Herzegovina, artificial country. Republika Srpska simply, they don't want to be that. They had a civil war. They were forced to live in the same country. They simply don't want to do that. Banja Luka, the capital of Republika Srpska, they don't recognize Sarajevo.
Yeah.
Because why they should that? I mean, the Sarajevo there is a joke. Sarajevo is divided with Eastern and Middle Eastern Sarajevo.
Ah, yeah.
So it's artificial, simply artificial. Even Bosnia was always population of Bosnia was always part of either Croatian nation or Serbian nation. It was introduced 1945 as a Muslim nation. Imagine when the communist dictator invented Muslim nation. Islam, that I respect, is a religion, not a nation. But in Bosnia now they call them Bosniak. But it's like a Newfies, people from Newfoundland or West Virginia. Is West Virginia a nation? They're all Americans. It's like a regional belongs. So it's
I wish we had another hour.
yeah. Well, next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
That
it
was-
sounds like there's been a long history of a divide and conquer strategy where
Exactly.
they utilize these,
Yeah.
ethnic, religious, cultural, any kind of differences to just drive a wedge between them and cause chaos to benefit their interests.
Exactly. You know, chaos at the multiple places, hotspots in the world is always work for a certain group, and that group is sitting in D.C. or New York or some of those places where it's not ordinary man can even step in.
Classic.
And they're
playbook,
dancing
yeah.
with the devil because if you stop to serve the interests of the imperialists, I mean, they will turn on you and throw you under the bus in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, without any thoughts, just
Except if you refuse to be divided. Hello, Russia. Hello, China.
yeah.
Just saying.
Time
Mike,
to tell.
thank you so much.
Time
We
will
will
tell. Thank you,
your
Mike.
expertise, and we will have
Thank
you
you
back.
very much.
You're welcome, guys. My
Yes.
pleasure.
We're going to continue the discussion, but you want me to pop you out?
Yeah, I will actually. I have to log on to the other meeting in 3 minutes. So, guys, my pleasure.
Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much
Thank
again.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So that's what it's like to talk to a rocket scientist. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Miss Ilea. What is it? What's that?
Yeah, before the show, he made the distinction. He's not a rocket scientist, but he's a missileer, or what did he say? He's an expert definitely in missile technology, and he's in the military. That was his job. So what didn't we hit on that we wanted to discuss? I know I wanted to talk a little bit more about that interview. So nobody else saw that Africa Stream interview with the president of Guyana. It was pretty interesting. One of the things was 160 billion worth of energy, developed, and the U.S. really wants to get its hands on it. In the previous administration, before that president took power, they had done a real exploitative sweetheart deal with Exxon, and they had just given Exxon tremendous access to a whole bunch of energy at a fucking really ridiculous price. And so they were, the British hard talk journalist was confronting the president. He's like, are you going to let Exxon get away with this? And the freaking president was saying, it's the sanctity of a contract. We can't do anything. It's a contract. We can't break a contract. And I just wanted to slap him. I mean, the fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck
I mean,
you and your
watch
fucking
out
contracts.
for those contracts. Whoever's in charge of Namibia, where they recently found another 10 billion barrels of oil. Just watch out for these parasites.
And what I was thinking too, it's 160 billion, and with that 160 billion, it's going to transform this country of Guyana, and it could do so much for this country of Guyana. And I'm just thinking how the U.S. at the drop of a hat will give. It's nothing to the U.S. They'll give a fucking 160 billion to kill 500,000 Ukrainians without even batting an eyelash. It's like, it just gives you some kinds of it gives you a frame of reference. All this energy, this newly discovered, and everybody wants to get their hands on it for 160 billion, and yet we'll just pass a law and give Ukraine it's 160 billion. It's amazing. You got more clips, Ben?
Classic corruption.
I don't. Well, I have a clip
Classic
that
corruption.
we should watch about a media, which I guess we're sort of a part of, and it was an interview between the despicable Piers Morgan, one of the worst Brits ever to come to America, and Professor Mohammed Barandi of Tehran University.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And I think it was mostly about Ukraine, but it also applies to any other conflict. So if you want to have a watch, let's do it.
Pierce, let me give you a word of advice. Your media outlets in the West have been misleading the people for 2 years now, saying Ukraine is winning, Ukraine is winning. Suddenly everyone is saying Ukraine is falling apart. Dishonest narratives and reporting dishonestly to your own people ultimately hurt the people of England and Europe and the United States. And your endless wars based upon this nonsense and this misinformation lead to huge waves of refugees. And then the people of Europe feel overwhelmed by these refugees that you yourself brought upon yourself. Here.
I thought it was excellent, especially to confront that guy with it.
Well, I've been saying that for years. It's like even when I watched Napolitano with Douglas McGregor
Yeah.
Order.
talking about immigrants. What's the
Always the border.
solution? What's the solution? I can't think what the solution is, and I'm screaming at the TV or the video. I know what the solution is. Stop destroying their countries through U.S. foreign policy. You dumb fucks. It's an aspect of neo-colonialism. That's the solution. Have me on. Let Doug McGregor let him take his fucking nap. You know, he needs a nap. He can't solve that. Have me on, Judge. I can solve it for you. You
I'm
only
gonna
have
reach
to
out.
do
I'm
like
gonna
a
reach out to him, and I'm gonna see what I can do about getting
Come
him
on.
Ben, did you
and
have
eight-
another
yeah,
clip?
yeah, and eight.
Uh,
It'll take me 8
No.
seconds. That'll be the whole show. Done. Solved.
I didn't know we were going to go into the
So
area of
stupid.
insults. All I had was like a funny end frame, like a still from a recent Reuters articles that we can end with. But maybe you guys have some final thoughts. Ian, first, my apologies. You didn't really get to have a lot of words in. I'm sorry for that.
No, it's a good lecture on the details of air defense artillery.
And
So,
can I say,
yes.
rest in peace, Tijas. I think it's now confirmed. Maybe you can talk about.
Yes, so it was
Russell Bentley.
confirmed he was killed. No details, no confirmed details. I mean, I've heard several stories, but no confirmed details except that he did in fact die and his body was recovered. So,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
his
awesome.
wife is still running his social media account. So if you see a post from him on VK or something like that, it's not a hacker or anything like that. It's just his wife running his account for him. So they'll still be posting news from Donetsk region. Just not by him, obviously.
Very disappointing news. We are not happy at all to hear that.
He fought the
a big
Banderites.
loss.
He saved people, so rest in peace, hero.
Also, we are streaming to multiple new destinations this week. Ian's Facebook and Ian's YouTube. So thank you for connecting our live stream to those other platforms. Hopefully, we'll get a few more viewers. I wanted to say something else, which escapes me.
Maybe
I had some notes.
we've gotten
can't
to that
find 'em.
point, but
Heck with it.
all right. Well, let me bring up something funny to end with. If you're ready to end, maybe it will remind you of something. I just thought this was the funniest thing. You've probably seen the
Oh,
gaff.
yes.
My uncle was
Eaten by cannibals.
I just saw this in the morning. I almost spilled my coffee. It was amazing.
Oh, it's a still. I'm waiting for the video. I want to hear.
Unfortunately, you want to hear the video?
When I left Scranton today, I wanted to go to the War Memorial that has the names of all the Scrantonians who died in World War II etched into a granite wall, because I wanted to see where my Uncle Bosie Ambrose J. Finnegan, where his name was etched. Back when D-Day occurred, and on Sunday, the next day, my mother's 4 brothers all went down to the recruiting station and joined the military. Every one of them volunteered. And my uncle, they called him Ambrose Bosie, they called him Bosie. My Uncle Bosie was a hell of an athlete, they tell me, when he was a kid. And he became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. He got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea.
I think that's enough from him. I just,
A little bit of an outrage from the New Guinea Prime Minister. He wasn't happy with the
I
allegation.
don't blame him. Yeah.
Well, with Biden, though, it's not just him being senile. He's always been a pathological liar. Like, he's lied about every aspect of his life. I mean, he's lied about how his own son died. He's lied about his grades in law school. He's lied about these gangsta-looking guys. You know, what was his name? Corn Pop. I mean, no one.
Someone did a compilation. I think he grew up amongst at least 12 ethnicities. You know, Polish, Irish, Italian, Greek. He had everything in his family.
In his defense, he's lied so much he really doesn't know what the truth is anymore. So you got to cut him some slack.
When you add so many lies with bad memory, he might not even know what's true and what's not.
But what better president for the ruling class? Like, what better person? What better kind of person to have as your figurehead that doesn't even know what's going on? It's just he's the perfect president. He's the perfect candidate. They're really wanting him to get 4 more years. I can't imagine 4 more fucking years. God bless him.
Can he live that much? I don't know.
I mean, I'm watching that movie. What's that movie called? It's the new miniseries on Amazon about the game Fallout. And so they've got this ghoul character. Yeah, you could live hundreds of years with the right meds. So
yes,
yeah.
Yes, Paulie, Joe Bidenopoulos, the famous Greek nickname. Yes.
Well, actually, there's Aubrey de Grey. Do you guys know about Aubrey de Grey?
No, but I just imagined the ghoulified Biden, and it's horrific.
He's like a futurologist, and he's working on people living to at least 160 years. He says he wants to sync up advances in medical science with longevity, and that's his. You can look him up on the net. I think he's still alive. Aubrey de Grey.
George Soros.
That's his whole shtick. He's getting lots of money from people who want to live longer.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Soros and all those people who are, the baby blood is not, it's coming at its end. It's already maximized their lives. They got to figure something else out because their time is coming very soon. All right, guys, we will see you Friday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We already said goodbye to Mike, but we will be here Friday with another special guest, I presume.
I hope so. And cheers for Paulie, Brian, Holden, Drew, for being with us today.
Thank you, viewers. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks.